All right. So, yeah. So the project that I have here is split up into a couple different pieces. So the app is like your front end, right? Then you've got the back end. I've got like my base Docker file in Docker, some scripts that I'm they don't really have a place. They just exist right now. So like just a random one off like if I'm trying to like here I was doing like a Rabbitmq thing. So that goes there. Then I have SQL, which in this case is just something that creates a table for the Reddit submission. So this is the table that automatically gets generated like once you actually have the problem up and running. Sorry, once the project starts, um, it just automatically creates that table. So like it just gives you data. Um, and then volumes is related to Docker, where in our Docker compose file, there's often the case where you have information that you want to persist from session to session. So if you,
Like your
you know,
Postgres
right,
database,
right, right,
probably.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't stop it, then you you don't want to lose your data every time, right? So the volumes these automatically get created whenever you spin up or use Docker Compose. And one thing to know is that you should always do dot forward slash. So if you do dot forward slash volumes, whatever, then this is on the outside of the container. This is on the inside of the container. So in this case, we're storing the shiny server logs outside of the container at this location. So you can look at them if you so desire. Um, so so it all starts this whole process, and I'll just start up the um, app real quick just to look at it. Um, so
Let me for your the tools that you used in PyCharm. So like I'm assuming you have the Docker one installed. There's probably a Redis one.
for what exactly? Sorry.
Just like the PyCharm plugins.
Yeah. So plugin wise, I've got Redis Explorer, so I can. This is where I'm caching subreddits, and the last time that I found them. And Redis is like an in-memory key value store, and it's often used as app cache. Does that make sense?
I
So, for example, like I want to store subreddit um, and the time that I found it last, right? So in this case, uh, it so there's like real life in here. But if we were to look at autonomous weapons, which might be interesting to check out, um, this is actually like a key. Oh, yeah. So this is stored as data, but like this is basically like the POSIX CT object from R. Um, and what I'm using for that, or to connect with that, we can talk about a little bit later. But yeah, so there's the one for Redis. Oh my goodness. That's weird. Okay. Yeah. Hold on. That's just got weird. I'm gonna move this back. Just close it. Cool. All right. And so what? Yeah. So at the end of the day, what I'm doing is I'm creating like this real time data feed into a Shiny app. And I want to be able to like kind of do some data science and play around with it. But then I also want to like filter out like interesting stuff versus like the trash stuff, because then I can pull more data from Reddit that has, higher quality information in it. But
Well, you
anyways,
you you were able to search by like a term there, right?
so I right now it's literally just like displaying back the information that I've gathered, um, and you can zoom in a little bit, and you get an over 18 tag, and so like that's an obvious like red flag that it's something that probably shouldn't be like that. That might not be useful for me, right? Most of that's just porn.
Yeah.
Um, but like, if there is something like related to like combat, like that could be interesting. So, I don't want to just say if it's explicit, like get rid of it, but
Well, yeah,
um,
that over 18 doesn't necessarily like it could be a story about like, some guy like in the army who like pulled a prank or like, put his
right,
butt cheeks on someone.
right, yeah. Um, so that's where I want to like start playing with the data, right? Is at the like, okay, so here's some separation of the data here just by over 18, but like how do we find interesting stuff and ignore the subreddits that are going to have just trash. Um so that's what I want to play with. But um the project overall, like how it gets started, um is really explained in order inside of the makefile. So if you look at like our Rust build, it runs clean, and then it runs our Rust, and then it runs the backend, and then the app, and then it does a composed build. And I think that this is redundant, but it's working, and I don't want to test it right now because I'm lazy. Um, but but it works if it doesn't break it if it says build. And then to start it, you just run down and up, right? If it was already running. So this tells you how to like understand where information is coming from in the project. So, and it says first we start with the R Rust Docker file, and so we can do that here. So if we go to Docker and then Docker file, because I'm using Rust in the backend, I'm pulling from a Rust Ubuntu image. And then what you have to do whenever you're installing R from scratch is update this file in Ubuntu that's called the sources list. And I can hop into any container and show you what it looks like. So I'll just do that. So shiny. So we'll just hop into, yeah, we'll hop into the shiny one. So this is hopping into the shiny app. And if we go to, oh, what is it? It's Etsy, Etsy, oops, Etsy apt cat sources.list. It's basically what repos you're looking at. Um, so if you run this apt update, then Ubuntu looks at this file and says, oh, we have a new repo that we're going to be pulling data from, or that we want to be able to pull data from. We verify that this is the place that we're pulling data from. Like it's just like a key that they make you put in. So this is like a security layer. Um, and
Wait,
then
so
it,
where are you looking right now?
oh, so this right here is, if you look inside the container, I'm just showing you what that file looks like.
Are you
Uh,
are you sharing your screen or thinking you're sharing? Because
oh God, I'm not sharing my screen with you, but I
I
am
was look
but I am recording it.
I was looking
Oh
at
no. I'm sorry. Here,
No worries.
can you
I
see
was
my
looking at the
screen?
Git. Uh,
Sorry. Okay.
no, there it is.
Yeah. Well, that's annoying. Not. I'm not annoyed. That's just that is an annoying thing to happen. Um, okay. So here's the Docker file. I'm pulling from right Rust. So this is an image that I did not create. And then echo deb. This is basically just saying append this text to the end of this file right here. And I hopped into the container to show you that this is what that file looks like. It's basically just like repositories of Ubuntu, like of Ubuntu repositories. So if you look here, right, it says Buster Cran 4.0. Whenever this container was built, it's because this command said install this version of R. And you need to make sure that this Buster or whatever this is matches this right there.
Yeah.
Um, because there's different versions. And then this verifies that you like this is like a security thing. And then here, whenever you actually add this, then Ubuntu can go and get those packages. So we update our repository, like what we look at running this update command. And then if you see down here, we've got rbase and rbase dev. I wouldn't be able to run this command unless I did this.
I mean, this is very much like like baking. Like in baking, you have to follow the recipe exactly, or you're gonna like change
Right.
it up or not get the end product that you want. But this has
Right.
clearly like the DAG. You know, the DAGs are all the rage now to where it's like that you have to follow these steps before you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So but it's different in that you can't run things in parallel. But so okay, so we've got this here, and so this is the basis for the Shiny app and the backend. And if you look, so we've got if we look at our make file here, make file. Um, so the next command after that Docker file is built is backend Docker file. So then we come over here, we go to backend Docker file. And what you see here is, okay, so now it's from our Rust latest, right? So if you look at the make file, docker build-t r rust, right? We created this tag, and now we're using it in the next container. So workdir tells it tells the bleh,
Container.
it tells the container where you're working. So if you do this, then you don't have to specify all the paths later on. But in order to build the R environment, I need to move the R profile in there, the rm lock, and the rm activate file. And then once I do that, I can run rm restore, which was already installed in the prior Docker. So this gets you to rm. The next step is to use rm, whether it's in Shiny or in Plumber or whatever, right? So if you get your rm.lock file working with your app, it'd be very easy to integrate it with what I've written. So if you can do that for me, but
I want to
let
hold your breath.
oh it's so yeah, so here we then run this one, which is inside of the backend folder. So if we look here, we've got backend, and then we've got Docker file. And if we look at the make file, it's saying within backend Docker file, right? So it just matches up exactly. Um, we can come in here, we can look at the Docker file, and what we do is now that rm is installed, we don't have to get to that point, and now we can just use this as the basis. But um, we copy in these files, then we restore the environment, and this installs all of the packages. And then we copy in the package files, and we build the R package. And because I'm using Rust, I have to use this R extender document before I actually install it. So this is specific to the backend. And whenever this starts up, um, you'll see that we copy in the SQL folder. I copy in the .env file that the project uses, and then I copy in this main.r file. And what we do is we say, okay, so the main.r file is the one that actually grabs the submissions using Rust and exports them to Postgres, which is running on another container. And this links here is what your host is within the container um, in order to connect. So, for example, the redpul, which is like the backend, it links to Postgres, and literally the .env, like the Postgres host, is Postgres. That's not 1972.168. It's not 127.0.0. It's just the name of the container, and that's how you connect between containers. Um,
That is actually a great tip right there.
yeah, yeah. So it's this links here, and that's your host. So if I'm hooking up to Postgres, then I have from redpul, then it's Postgres colon 5432. This is a variable, right? So this is actually in
Yeah.
the .env file, Postgres port 5432. So you could swap it out here if you wanted. um, but yeah, so that gives you the inter-container communication. Um, the next step is the app, which we just fixed. And if you look here, if you see app, this is it's a Shiny app, and it's very basic. It needs some cleanup. Um, but regardless, the app itself is right, or sorry, not the app itself. The What am I trying to show? Oh yeah, the Docker file. So for this one, it's the same process, right? So I set the working directory for app, and then copy in the stuff for rm that we need in order to restore the environment, and then copy in the basics for the package, which is the app, like the Shiny app uses in our package, and then document and install it. And so this is like, okay, the next step is to run the application. So in my Docker Compose file, um, I'm using the Shiny run app, right? So this is r-e, so this is from the command line, Shiny run app app.r, and then this is the port that I want it to start up on. And then here I've got port 9000 to 80, right? So and the 80 is the is localhost without a port, or without writing the port. So you can just do um, literally just localhost here, right? Um, so so another little thing to know is that you can automatically update information within the container from outside the container. So in this case, I've got my www folder running on within the Shiny app, and that's where I'm storing the CSS. And if we scrolled into that folder, I've got what's called a file watcher. File watcher. So if we type this in, you'll see here I've got this command that runs every time that file updates. So something is detecting a change in the styles.scss folder for me in PyCharm. So whenever I let me just pull this up here, styles.css. There we go. So if I do this and then I save it, then the file watcher updates this side, and then Docker noticed that this updated, And so shortly it should update. Um, but if not,
But it just make it those changes pretty much carry through then.
yeah, it should be doing that. So I'm just curious if it's actually going to do that. Um, I think that I would have. Oh, yep, there. It just took a second. So that change propagated through, and then we can see that the font had changed. So it's not as fast as I'd like it to be right now, but I think that it's better than having to restart or have to think about that restarting because I could be thinking about other ways of updating my code. Oh, nope. See, that updated really fast. Um, so let me see. Yeah, no, it's doing it almost instantly, which is what I expected. Um, so it's just not. I don't know. It's just not as fast every single time or something. What is this thing? Yeah.
And that's where you had that volumes in the Docker file.
What's that?
In the Docker file, there's
Yeah.
your volumes line. Like every time I see a dot now, like a
Right.
period or whatever, that I always think in my head, it's like from current directory, right?
Right.
Or it's like from whatever the directory you're in, and then that syntax is basically like take it from there and put it into the container um,
Yeah.
kind of directories there.
Okay. I think what's happening is that it takes a second for this to actually compile, and so I can't be too greedy because this has to compile back to the CSS. It's easier to remove everything than it is to add it back or add all of that back. So um, yeah, so here's the app again, right? But let me move that out of the way. And so what you want to do is you want to build your container, and then for Plumber, if you're using Plumber, then if you go to um, my GitHub, um, here we go. This is the command that you would be running, or in this case, what I did was um, where's my Docker Compose? So no, that this is too much. Plumber, plum. Oh, I want to end this user. Um, Here's one that I did. So entry point. This one is all containing. Um, but entry point, you could remove this, and then you could just move this into Docker Compose. Um, but this is actually super easy. This just runs the things that you need. Um, like like this is maybe where I would start for you, if you don't want to do the if you don't want to use mine. But this is what's going to get you started. This is saying the port on the inside, um, you know, right here. So this is your plumber one. Um, I can I can give
Yeah,
you.
because like I even in the examples and like I think I even installed the rocker one
Yeah.
and like I was able to like somehow open up Docker and it was like a whole new like computer on there. Like you can move around the screen and all that, but like uh
Yeah.
I don't even know how.
Oop. Can you hear me? Oh shoot. Whoops. I shut him off. Just a second. I gotta hop back in. Hey, sorry about that. Um, so so this is that app. This is for the Shiny app or whatever. But the thing here is building that. So what I like to do is I build like the shared stuff, right? That's this R Rust, and then the app specific stuff goes here. In your case, you would just install your package, right? So this is like what you need, right? You need to create your renv, and then you
Yeah.
need to have your package, and then once you have your package, then you run this. So this is like you could copy paste this for your app here, for Plumber, and then the next thing is literally just Plumber plum with your API uh, within Docker Compose. So here, right, we would just do Plumber plum instead of Shiny run app. Um, but but yeah, but as far as plugins go, um, obviously just having these services. So you just like basically you just go to the plugins and say like Postgres, Redis, right? AWS, right? So like for
Yeah.
example, yeah. So here's Redis. Um, here's all the R tools. Here's Cargo for Rust. Um, MySQL database, right? So this is hooked up to the Docker. Whenever I run SQL, um, right? Whenever I pull up the SQL, because it's hooked up through here using DataGrip, I can just go to the SQL and I can pick a query and I can run it. And this is like while I'm hacking away, just like checking stuff out. So we've got 3.2 million posts now. Um, and what one thing that's happening here is so if we look in R in the backend, and if we go through source and into Rust, um, I don't know if we necessarily need to talk about Rust, but like this is the actual code that's running. So here, what we do is we pull in a vector from R, and then we have this code that I copy pasted, which is basically a way of like having a runtime for async functions. So we have yeah, it doesn't make sense to explain that right now, but it's just so much fun that it's like R shiny, you know. Redis is so I what I wanted to show was
Are you?
um,
You're not sharing your screen, so
oh
just FYI.
okay. uh,
Getting ahead of yourself there.
yeah, a little bit. You can just tell me to shut up. um, yeah, so here basically, yeah, I pull the data from Reddit and then I throw it in a JSON, pass it back to R, and then R. If we look over here, I've got this Postgres connector function, and it looks at the environment variables. So in this case, Postgres host, and the environment variables here I store with the app itself. Let me show you.
Wait, what's the at import like lines 2 through 8? What is it? Is that just comments then?
That's documentation. That's that's like what creates your
The
it's what creates
oxygen
your
file
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, that's Roxygen. Yeah. Um, so cd into backend. Um, oh, I'm not using that .env. Oh no, I'm using this .env. Yeah. So like I said, it's all the same, right? So because of the way that Docker is set up right now, um, whenever this file gets passed in, I use .env, which right here, this is that main file. So this is what's running in the container. So right now I'm just loading in a bunch of packages lazily, um, and then read in the .env file, which is passed in right here. So it's just a matter of putting all the Lego pieces together so that they match, which
So
is the
wait,
most infuriating part.
yeah, yeah, this is. I mean, it makes sense as you're explaining it. Never in a million years would I like go through this. Um, but like, so how do you deal like if your .env isn't in your GitHub repo though, is it?
Yeah, this one is because, well, if you don't want it there, then you can just do the dot get
Uh,
ignore, right? But in
yeah,
this case, I mean, there's nothing secret here. It's all of this literally spins up with zero work on the end of the end user, right? So like
yeah,
if you're someone who's wanting to build a like a project that shows off your data science skills, like this is just like free data from the real world that you are just handed in a nice clean format to go play with, which is kind of what I'm trying to get to. But then
well,
also
like
like build like research stuff into it as well.
I mean, like I suggested this, but like if you can do like just searches on like cryptocurrency or like just Solana or whatever it is, like
Sure. I mean, I've been
uh,
pulling data. Um,
I know that's what I like. They have like the sentiment analysis and all that. Like,
oh yeah, it could
um,
be fun. Yeah, I mean, like here's Biden, but I mean, I could easily replace this with like literally any word at this point. So, right. So here's all the Solana. Um, yeah, this is all crypto stuff. But what we could do is something like a select um, star, or let's do a select sub. Oh, so this is data grip, right? This is that.
yeah,
Yeah. So select subreddit count star from submissions group by subreddit. Right. Run that. So where subreddit I'm gonna have to move it. Crypto. Um, ooh, I don't know why this is jacked up, but I can't do Control C, Control V, and I need to fix it. Okay.
yeah. No, that I because I think for one of them it's like
So
Command C, one of them's
yeah,
Control C or whatever,
yeah. So
or
like yeah,
Control Enter to execute.
yeah. So I mean, there's a whole lot of already crypto subreddits, but then um, it looks like with crypto in the name. Oh, let's do a distinct count. Um, select count. Oh, distinct subreddit. 164 crypto subreddits. Like,
Just in the recent 2 million or 3.5 million that came in, right?
yeah, there's just so much information. It's like you could have this running on your computer in 10 minutes if you just follow the instructions. Um, so, but like it's the building of these things which is really fun. Um, so
I
go ahead, yeah.
I'd rather do like the building of it. Like I gotta be honest. Like I get to like two or three roadblocks, and then I just get pissed off. Like I would like to do the whole thing end to end, but like what you just did there just makes me a lot happier than like trying to build it because I'll again even with Docker, it's like I get it conceptually, and then like trying to put it into computer terms
Right.
is like what the fuck, dude.
No, I get it. I get it. So I'm gonna push this. So git add um, video commit. Um, but uh, but yeah. So I fixed my problem. I hope you learned some Docker as well. If you want to take a stab at because what you want to do is you want to create your Docker file and you want to be able to what you need to do is you need to use rm. Set up rm for your project and set up your project as a package. And then if you can do those two things, then you're good to go. Um, if because at that point, if you don't have a Plumber file, we'll throw one in and we'll just get it connected. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to get you past the problem of worrying about getting it all connected.
Yeah. I mean for this like the work one, it's basically like read it from an API and put it into Snowflake at the end game.
Hmm.
And it's not that it's really not that this hard. It's just like getting it set up and configured on like
Yeah.
um it's just that's the part where I would like to get from because usually I would just like brute force it and
Hmm.
like just go linearly, but like I don't want to start there. I'd rather start somewhere else where like I can abstract it a little bit
Yeah.
and make it more usable.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I don't know. Did you have any other questions for now?
No, but like I'd like to pick your brain and like I again we took an hour or so here. Like I don't feel right you going let leaving here empty handed. So like let me charge me anything.